When the Night Comes Falling by Howard Blum.
Part 2. The Children's Story. 7. Everybody's looking for love, right? After all, love is all you need. At least that's what they keep telling you. So why should you be any different? You have needs too. So you just sit in your room and scroll through Facebook or Insta or TikTok, and there they are, all of them looking so pretty. And here's the best part. They don't have any idea you're staring at them, following their every post, checking out every move they make, every tasty smile they flash. It's your reassuring secret. Because if they don't know, they can't turn you down. There's no one smirking, telling you to get real, dude. There's no one telling you to get lost. So you just keep looking and looking and looking. Only you know what they're thinking. You can't have it. Want to bet? As the uniformed police sergeant now slowly approached the Koberger's car, the officer's body cam documented his unhurried actions. And as it happened, just days earlier, the video of another police encounter had gone viral on the internet. Previously overlooked, that official body cam footage recorded the response to a noise complaint. A trio of officers had shown up on September 1st, 2022, less than 2 weeks after Brian, sporting his new swim trunks, had attended the pool party. Like the bash at the Grove, it was another celebration at the start of the new semester. It, too, had taken place in Moscow. And unknown to either Michael or his son, before the day would be over, a very tight circle of Idaho cops and FBI agents would be reviewing the police body cam videos of the two seemingly unrelated events. They would be searching to discover if an incriminating line of inquiry could be drawn between the recordings, and if they held a clue to the genesis of all the horror that had followed. Wedged against a leafy hillside, the clapboard house at 1122 King Road rose up on 3 distinct levels from a platform base like an ancient ziggurat. A line of frat houses stretched along a nearby bluff. Beyond that, just across twisting Nez Perce Drive, were the carefully manicured lawns of the University of Idaho campus. September 1st was a Thursday, and pretty much everyone had classes the next day. Nevertheless, by 8:34 that evening, things were going strong inside. The term had just begun, but 1122 King Road had already secured its reputation as a party house. Tonight it was once again swarming with students. Tyler Childers's Feathered Indians boomed from a pair of waist-high speakers, and the music carried aggressively up the block. Revelers called happily to one another, a giddy, drunken mosaic of bouncy, exuberant voices. Then the cops arrived. For the second time in the past 2 weeks, an annoyed neighbor had complained about the noise. A police body camera video captured what happened next, and at the time it was seen as only a small, self-contained drama about the push-and-pull tensions between police and students in a college town. The night is already very dark, as if starless, but the harsh glow of the house lights illuminates a slice of the driveway, and the Moscow PD officers proceed up this marked path. They are heading with determination toward the noise, yet their progress is suddenly halted. They spot 2 young women in jean shorts giggling, leaving the party. At that moment, the co-eds notice them, too. Without a word to one another, acting on pure instinct, they veer off into the darkness. It's as if they know nothing good will come from a confrontation with 3 cops. But there is no escape. An officer trains his flashlight on the pair. They are trapped in a cone of yellow light. "You guys haven't been drinking or anything, right?" he wonders. The mischief in his voice runs high. "No," the girls reply in a wary, uneasy chorus. Their interrogator now takes his time. Perhaps he is deciding whether to challenge the response. He could, after all, order a breathalyzer test. Finally, "Okay, drive careful, okay?" he instructs with a casual authority. "Thanks," one of the girls offers, while her friend has the wisdom to keep her silence. Relieved, they swiftly rushed off. "As soon as they know it's the cops, they just blend into the darkness," the officer chuckles to his partner. Then they continue up the soft incline toward the house. "We're only here for a noise complaint," one of the officers growls, the camera framing his head pitched toward an upstairs window. "Come to the damn door," he barks. As this new act had opened, he'd been pounding on the white front door for a while, but without any results. His efforts had been rewarded with an aggressive silence. The cops look up plaintively toward the bright lights of the second-story window. In response, silhouettes dash out of view, apparently finding refuge in the unexposed recesses of the house. "We'll figure out who lives here eventually," the officer vows to no one in particular. One of the cops radios the dispatcher. He begins a request for assistance in tracking down the names of the occupants. This is interrupted, however, when two young men abruptly open the door. The crackle of the walkie-talkie apparently has convinced the students that the cops are determined. They are not going away. The only hope is to defuse the situation before it escalates into something unfortunate. Both boys are tall, built lean yet broad-shouldered like competitive swimmers, and they deliberately fill the doorway so that the cops cannot look inside. One of them has a white zip tie around his wrist, and the strands of another tie, just remnants, hang loosely from it. It is, no doubt, a proud consolation prize from a recent cuff and chug session. This is a zero-sum fraternity drinking game. Two partners are zip-tied together, and whoever first chugs a fifth of liquor can celebrate by cutting himself free, if, of course, his ability to accomplish this task has not become too impaired by the exertions his victory required. A cop demands to speak to the house's legal tenant, and so the youth with the zip tie obediently disappears inside. But not before firmly closing the door behind him. How long is he inside? A minute? Maybe less? But to judge by the look of mounting annoyance on the officer's face, it might as well have been an hour. "So I just looked for everyone that lives here, and they're not here right now," the boy announces when he returns at last. His tone is flat, as if he has gone to the trouble of performing a dreary task and now he just wants to be left alone. And the cop cannot help but notice that the student has once again closed the door firmly behind him. The officer makes a last-ditch effort to restore his control. If the occupants are not present, then perhaps the revelers are all trespassing, he suggests. Neither of the students appears intimidated. They maintain a detached, untroubled silence. "Who does live here? What are their names?" the officers ask again, but this time with more force. Now the second boy speaks up. "I'm not actually sure," he offers unconvincingly, and his friend nods his head, equally baffled. The cops have little doubt they have been lied to by a couple of smart-ass kids. But what can they do? This is Moscow, and the department's policy toward the university is shaped by a shrugging live-and-let-live complacency. As long as no one faces any danger of bodily harm, as long as no major laws are being broken, the edict is to speak loudly but never let the big stick come crashing down. But that doesn't mean the contempt doesn't grate. The cops discover a backpack stocked with six-packs and Trulies, and they pour the alcohol into the weeds as the video fades out. But now, on the very day when the tall sergeant approached the Koberger's car, this months-old grainy video made on a September night in Moscow held the attention of a select group of law enforcement officials like a magnet. They searched for something they might have previously overlooked. The police scrutinized the heavy shadows that spread around the golden glow of the house on King Road. They were searching for the hiding place of a murderer, the monster who weeks later would kill 4 young students inside that house. And so they stopped and started the video dozens of times, poring over the smudges of light and dark in the background. From time to time, they grew encouraged, only to decide with sighs of defeat that their eyes had been playing tricks on them. In the end, anything of evidentiary value, a crouching figure, a peering face, a strategically parked car, eluded them, just as the identities of the occupants of 1122 King Road, despite all the increasingly assertive inquiries, had escaped the officer's knowledge on that night in September.